Hey there, Powerdirector users. I had a comment from a user regarding adjusting audio levels that would be based on the clip, not so much the entire track. If you remember, I did a video which covered adjusting all of the gain across the entire track. So if whether you had one clip or 30 clips, you could adjust them all up or down, which is really useful if you've got something like a motorcycle video or something where you need everything to be higher or lower as opposed to going through each one individually. This video is about making adjustments within an individual clip. So I can lower the sound of, in this case, a motorcycle engine so that you can hear narration better, or if you're trying to mix in music with narration and those kinds of things, you don't want them all to be at full volume and you're trying to yell over it. No one's going to be able to hear that and it's going to sound horrible. So you need to kind of tweak things and do it in a way that's doesn't sound completely screwy, where it goes from full volume to zero volume, over the course of a teeny, you want to ramp it down a little bit so that it sounds a little bit more natural. So there are two ways to do that, and I'll just run through both of them. I'll show all the way through the process with using one way, and then I will take you through the process using the second way, so it's not confusing where I'm jumping back and forth. So this is a motorcycle video that I've done. Took a trip, and I have the ending section, which is where I say thanks for watching, please subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. So this top clip is the actual sound from the motorcycle itself, and then I've got this section down here which is my standard ending. Thanks for watching, click like, share, surprise, if you want to support the videos, all that kind of thing. And then at the bottom I include a little bit of music as well. And so if I'll play this clip here, and you'll hear why things need to be adjusted. Thanks so much for coming along. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you can hear everything, but everything's loud, and there's just no good production to it. It's basically the motorcycle sound, and then you got the music kind of thumping a little bit, and it's like, this is just no good at all. So I need to make adjustments. So what I'm going to do is adjust down the motorcycle engine sound, because at the end of the video we don't really care about that. In this case, obviously you can do this in the middle. I do this all the time when I'm adding narration to videos. I lower the engine sound for the 10 seconds I'm talking, and then I lift it back up so that people can hear the bike noise, which motorcyclists love that kind of thing. So I'm ramping down and then ramping back up using these methods. So you'll get a real sense of what works for your project pretty quickly, I think. So the two ways to do it are this number one is what I call the manual freehand method. So what I'm going to do is click into here to get into activate this track. I'm going to click to create an endpoint. This unfortunately tends to be a little less precise and kind of automatically raises. You'll notice that the gain has gone up when I click that. Let me undo and you can see the difference. See that? So my gain is at 0 here. If I click here, I'm trying to be real careful with my mouse. Oh, so that still lifted it. So you just have to be aware that you may have to tweak it. So I click, and then I'm going to click another point, and then this time I'm going to drag down and lower it. So now you'll be able to, this would be a good example. We can hear the change. Thanks so much for coming along. Be sure to like, hear that? So obviously in this case I lowered it almost all the way down to 0. Again, your video, your project, you'll figure out if you want to have a little bit of noise or no noise, but this is a good way to do it, and it creates this little ramp. And if you want, let me do one more change just so we can show it and experience it. So I'm going to do a bigger transition here. In this case I'll just jump it down so you'll see the transition here. Thanks so much for coming along. Be sure to like. So again, depending on your project, you figure out what works good for you in terms of, do you want it to be a short transition or a long transition. So this is the manual method. And let's say down here I wanted to raise it back up again. I could click in here to create another anchor point so that the spots between here and here remain untouched, but then I can click and lift to create this kind of a plateau. It's like a reverse plateau, kind of drops down in this case. So my sound drops off, talk, 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 and then let's say I was done talking, I could then have the sound rise back up again. Make sense? Okay. I'm going to undo that one because that would be horribly loud. And then I do the same thing down here where I have the music. So let's listen to this and see if we like this. Thanks so much for coming along. Be sure to like, comment, share. It's not horrible, but I think I would want my music to be a little bit more subtle, not so much, in your face. So what I can simply do is come down to my audio track, and I could do one of two methods. One was to use the technique we learned in the previous video, which is to go to the audio track and make a tweak. But today's video is, we're talking right now on the freehand method, so I'm just going to click here and drag down. And because I'm at the end of the track and there are no other endpoints at all, you see how it lowers mostly everything. But it will ramp back up. So the endpoint itself matters. So in this case, I'm trying to, without wasting all of your day watching me dick with this, I've lowered this down a little bit, and then let's say right near the end, I actually want this to build a little bit. So I'm going to click. That's a little bit too much. I'm going to lower that down. All right, let's say I'll go to here. This is just to show our example. And then I want this to drop off, kind of fade off. So I'm going to bring this all the way down. In fact, I'm going to bring it all the way down here. So I'm clicking and dragging is what I'm doing. Obviously you can't see my mouse on the screen. So my track will now change. Thanks so much for coming along. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. A little bit lower, but let's just so again, so we can hear it, let's go to the end of it. Hello. And until next time, get out and ride. Right? Nice. The video is ending, so you want the audio to sort of fade away. And so this is a way that I do it. By clicking and plopping in these endpoints, I'm able to do that. So let's go back. I'm going to hit undo a million times. Let's scroll back up here. And now let's do the same thing, but using the second method. As I mentioned, there are two methods. First is that freehand where you just click and drag and move things around, which it's fast and easy, but it can be a little less precise. So I've come back, I've undone the adjustments that we made earlier, and I am in where I can see my audio sliders. So I've put my position indicator back at the start where I want the transition to begin, and instead of clicking and dragging manually, this time simply click on the slider here, which creates an anchor point and doesn't accidentally bump up the gain as it does with the mouse. I can then come in to where I want the audio to be, let's say right there, and then I can click and drag, and let's say in this case I'm just going to go to a -8 there, and so we can hear the result of that change. Thanks so much for coming along. Again, the sound of the bike has dropped, but we still have that loud music. So I'm going to run down here, and we'll do the same thing in this regard. If the music was the only thing on track 4, we could use the slider like we've done in the previous video, but to keep in the spirit here, I'm going to do the same method here. So in this case, I'm going to click and drag this down just a touch. Let's try this here, and then let's see what we get. Thanks so much for coming along. Be sure to like, comment. So it's a little more subtle, and then obviously at the end we can do the same thing where I can create another anchor point by clicking. You see that appears here on the audio, and then we could go to say here. I'm going to click and drag it all the way down, and then we can hear what we get with that. Hello. And until next time, get out and ride. So that is the second way. This is, again, it's a little more precise. It takes a little bit longer because you're having to sort of pre-position your spot, and then you can click an anchor point, drag it up and down, or you click it, move, and then drag it up and down. Versus the manual method. But again, from a precision viewpoint, it's really nice to be able to do it that way, as opposed to just if I were to manually grab and drag. But again, you'll figure out what works best in your particular circumstance. Hopefully that is helpful. Please leave me a comment below if you have any questions, or if there's other videos, Powerdirector related videos that you'd like to see. Love making content, love helping folks out. So please let me know that as well. Like, share, and all that good stuff. And until next time, get out and ride. Just kidding. Till next time, talk to you later.